Hello, my name is Craig and welcome to my channel. This is the next part of the Squid build that I'm giving away to someone on YouTube later this year. In this episode I'm just fitting in the end piece or the tail piece and also putting the binding on. Just making sure it fits in nice and snugly. Yep. Just need to glue that in now. Right, now that it's dry, I need to cut off the ends that are protruding on the top and the back with my favourite little saw. Now that is not quite even, so I need to grind that down a little bit, make the tailpiece even with the rest of it, which is pretty good now. Let's just maybe have a look at what that looks like. This top little piece of tiger myrtle. Okay, I've sanded all the sides down in preparation for doing the routing of the binding channels. But before I go any further, even though I think I've done okay, I've got to go around and check all around the sides about that depth down there with my finger, just to feel if there are any rough surfaces or pits or whatever it might be on there. I've got to smooth out. I think I've got most of it, but we'll just check it once more, because the guide on the router bit is going to move along about that particular spot, and if it feels any rough edges or dips or rises, it's going to put a dip or a rise corresponding to the router channel that we produced. So it's worth doing before you actually start doing the routing. Okay, so we've found 4 little uneven patches on the sides, so we'll just fix those up before we do the side routing. Doesn't take much, and it will give you hopefully a better job when you do the binding. Okay, before I go any further and do the routing for the binding channels, I might just have a look at the sides. I haven't looked at them since about 6 months ago. I know they were quite nice, I thought, so I'll have another look now. They've been sanded to about 240, so just have a quick look. I can see why I like them now. Oh, look at that. Especially look at that. Get that on camera. Oh, that's pretty. Now I've cut the binding channel around here and on the bottom as well, until my binding was going to fit very, very nicely in there, nice and snug that way. and if anything it might be just a fraction of a, I don't know if you can see that, but it might be a fraction of a millimetre, a little bit short of the top there, which is alright because it's going to be sanded down further anyway. So that works for most of the top. You get to the bottom or the back and you find that when you use the same settings, you go all the way around there, you're going to find that because the back slopes down a whole lot more than what the top does, there's a radius of about, on mine it's about 14 feet, and the radius on this one here is about 33 feet. So the problem is when I put this piece of binding on here, I would have found that one, it would have been too thick. In other words, the channel that I cut was not at a great enough depth this way. So that's one of the problems I would have had. The second problem I would have is that it's also going this way. It's also a tiny little bit out as well. Now, most of the rest of it is pretty good. But when I get around this top part here, from about there to there, I find that it is too small depth-wise and that way as well. So both those directions. So what do? Because it's mostly around here, I go back and you might be able to see. Now, this was the original depth that way of my binding on the first pass round, etc. And that works for most of the guitar. But at this point here, you can see what I've done there. I've got this little section here. Just over here, where I've increased the depth of my binding channel here, so that the actual binding will fit nice and snugly into this part here. So that little bit of extra depth that I have on the router allows the binding to fit in really snugly now. It's flat against the guitar, it's flush with the top as well, or the back I should say, the back surface. Now what I did was cut it from about there around to here. So just that area there, and when I get to these parts here to around there, I just sort of do it, ease it up slightly. Same over here. Now, if we have a look at that, you might be able to see a little bit where I've eased it away. Now, I did the same thing over here, but what I'm going to do is just simply use a combination of these little things. I got these from China. You can get very close up to the surface around here. But basically what I'm going to do is to smooth that around there. Just so it blends into the rest of it. Makes it nice and even. Doesn't take much. This is, I think, 80 grit on these. So that's already pretty well smoothed out. So the other problem is, it's very hard to even pick this up, but there is, round where I just did that correction there, there's a very slight channel where it's a little bit deeper just in that area there than others. There's another little gap there as well. What I do is virtually the same as what I did a minute ago, except I do it on the shelf inside there. So in that area, I'm going to come around here and again clean it up, make it smooth it out. It's not going to need a whole lot. Now these are great, except they're not going to get it perfectly, so I'm going to need a chisel just to get out the little small amounts right in the corner there. Now those little gaps that were there a minute ago are practically gone. I might just give it one more quick little go and we'll find that it'll work out nice and smooth and everything is working out well. And I'll just use a combination of these little sanding blocks and a chisel. Make sure it's nice and sharp, and I'll smooth out the rest of those there until that binding fits on nicely. Now it will probably take an extra 15 minutes, 20 minutes to do that, and to make sure that the binding fits all around it, but I don't mind doing that. So here's the squid all bound. All it needs now is a little bit of sanding and we'll be ready to paint it. I'll just show you once more what it's going to look like. There's another little pattern occurring there as well, I didn't see before. And here's our tiger myrtle end strip. Okay, so see you next time. Thanks for watching.